All right. That wasn't me. That was the other guy. Now we're here. We're talking about stuff. We got this book. I got a book right here. I want to show you this book. I don't know if you know who's on the cover. You may not recognize that guy. I don't think anybody knows who that is. So check it out. This book's coming out in probably within a month or so, I would say. You can get this book and read it. I'm not going to tell you all about it. But what I do have is the guy that wrote the book, and he's here with us. And that is Andrew. He's here.
Great to be here. And that is Jose Vitor Leme on Whoopah for the highest scored ride of all time.
All right.
On the cover.
On the cover. And on the back, you got Flint doing his thing.
Gotta have Flint.
Gotta have Flint. You can't go without Flint doing his stuff. So let's talk about this. First of all, you're not new to big sports. You've been around big sports for a while. You dealt with some NASCAR stuff and with IMG putting a lot of stuff together for those guys. You led the IMG College, which is the first international college for marketing sports. So I mean, how does that happen?
I came over to IMG from NASCAR. So I started out as a trade journalist doing some writing, and then got into PR at Pepsi, where was exposed to some of the sports there, but a lot of brand stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went into publishing at Simon & Schuster, and for some reason wound up in consulting at McKinsey & Company, the management consultant, then took a 180-degree turn and went into a different universe at NASCAR.
Yeah.
And I was responsible for the Off the Sports Pages press for NASCAR from 2003 to 2010, and then came over to IMG.
Yeah.
Now, you might recall WME, the Hollywood agency, which
Yes.
is now called Endeavor, acquired IMG, and then their first acquisition was PBR, then UFC, but PBR preceded UFC. I was very fortunate to be asked, "Are you interested in bull riding? Would you like to kind of try to help out?" I'd done some channel surfing, you know, when live in New York City, when it's on CBS. I'd catch it. I was by no means a fan, but I enjoyed it. Took me about 5 minutes, though, at an event. Went out to Thomas and Mack for World Finals in 2015 and said, yeah, I want to be part of this. This is really cool. So I've been fortunate to be overseeing PR since 2015 for PBR.
And that's what I was going to ask you about. Going from doing the big the corporate thing, and the corporate, you're at an office most of the time and a computer and a phone, and you get a call like that, and it's like, hey, the PBR, the bull riding, wants to talk to you. I mean, what are you thinking at that point? Like you say, you've seen it on TV or whatever. What are you thinking? Like, what am I going to do?
Well, it reminded me of NASCAR, because when I was working at NASCAR, I was in the New York office as well. Brian France and the France family had the vision of like MLB's on Park Avenue, and all the leagues are there. The NFL's there. Let's open a NASCAR office on Park Avenue. So I was living in New York City, but then traveling to like Talladega, Alabama. And so it was, I felt it was kind of the same thing. Like I love that about NASCAR, is being able to go to places outside of New York and seeing the real America. And I actually wrote a book at NASCAR called The Weekend Starts on Wednesday. I think this book is a little bit similar to that in terms of talking about the fan base and the lifestyle and the culture of the sport. So yeah, I enjoy getting out of New York and being able to see other parts of the country.
So now you talk about that in the book, because I've done some reading. So when you get out, you talk about out there. You get out to Vegas. You got your fresh boots on, which they didn't stay fresh very long. You might have stepped in a few things. And so you get out there and you're behind the chutes, and what I always like to hear from people when they go to PBR, when you watch it on TV, and then when you get there, because it's a lot of people don't realize, watching on TV and you're right there, you're in front of the bull, you're in the arena. How much of a shock was that from seeing the broadcast to actually seeing it live in person?
Yeah, the bucking chutes are intense. My first time in there, I never realized how absolutely intense it is when the rider settles down on the bull. And as you know, some of the most dangerous injuries happen inside that. It happens to be coffin shaped, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's intense. And what I tried to capture too in the book too is the mentality of the bull riders. The focus and what's in their head when they get on that bull.
And so you've been out there, you've been with the guys. Was it like you say in the book, like, hey, these guys must be nuts, this must be crazy. But then you get down there, you get in the locker room, you get around these guys, you're like, wait, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
These guys are not the crazy screw loose types that I was expecting.
Right, right. My first impression was that they were sort of like stuntmen or daredevils or like a guy at a circus being shot out of a cannon. Not at all. These are legitimate athletes doing something that's incredibly hard. When you think about the combination of core strength and just, you know, grip and balance, agility, and then the mental side of things beyond that is just, you know, these are some of the world's most incredible athletes. In fact, there's a chapter with Tommy Lasorda. Tommy was a huge PBR fan and had partial ownership of the bull that Chad Ochocinco tried to ride. Ocho lasted about dose, I think. Yeah, so, but Tommy had said, I can teach you to hit a baseball. I cannot teach you to ride a bull.
Yeah. Yeah, there's you can't. It's just one of those things. It's you know, it's cause and effect. It's action reaction. You got it or you don't, because you're not like, you know, everybody tell you all the time, you're not going to overpower. You go to the gym all you want. You can pump all the iron you want. You're not going to overpower that bull. It's action reaction. It's right place, right time, muscle memory that's going to get that done, and that's just how it is. Now, in the book, you brought up something that a lot of people have forgotten about for a long time, and you talk about Joni riding Mr. T.
Yep.
People forget all about the women bull riders and about that. That he went, you know, he was 40-0, and she rode him in South Dakota.
You know, that was one of the chapters that I really stumbled upon, where I had, well, first off, just how I got into it is I had been covering different parts of the sport for PBR.com and pitching in now and then, you know, Justin Falisco and Darcy Miller do such a fantastic job on that website, but now and then contributing a story and then maybe to our souvenir guide. And then during COVID, New York completely shut down, and partially to keep my sanity, but also I always in the back of my head, from the moment I met JB Mooney, first bull rider I ever worked with in an interview situation with JB, and he started regaling me with these stories as he was going to go on the Stephen Colbert show. Colbert kept him waiting for like 4 hours. You know, JB stuck in the green room with me for 4 hours. 2 hours in, he starts warm. You know, this is the first time the guy ever met me, and starts telling me these just crazy stories. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, there's got to be a book here. You know, I was so fresh at the time, but thinking about it, you know, how am I going to get into this book that I eventually wanted to do? Once COVID came and we were locked down, I kind of took my notes and sketches and quotes and past stories and edited and re-edited and rewrote, and then came up with this concept of love and try. And then added some new stories. And Johnny Jonkowski was one of the people I had gotten in contact with, who just has this incredible story that I can't believe she's not a household name.
Yeah.
This badass female bull rider riding with one hand. At the time, women were supposed to ride with two hands.
Yeah.
Johnny only rode with one. She was a world-class athlete heading for the Montreal Olympics, was a sprinter and a hurdler. She clipped a high hurdle, completely hurt her back, and had her running career was over. And then she picked up, you know, rodeo. She saw a sign for rodeo. She said, you know, if I can sit on top of a bull, let the bull do all the work. And that's how she sort of got into it. And then began riding with the guys and rode these bulls that nobody else rode.
Yeah. And that's crazy. And then you brought a lot. This book goes. There's so much. I can't tell you all the stuff in the book, but you got to check it out when it comes out. But I mean, you touched on everything. You know, you touched on, you know, you got the first family with Jerome and Tiffany. You know, the Davises. You got Bond in there, Zeke. You know, like you said, Corona time, and then Craig Hummer, the unsung hero of the telecast is Craig Hummer. He's been there for so long.
Well, what was cool about Craig is, and again, the concept of love and try. Craig was an extreme athlete. I mean, he was an Ironman competing in Australia and won, I forget how many titles it was. That was one of the chapters I'd written a couple of years ago. But I think he won 12 or 13 like Ironman titles where he was the top of his game in this extreme sport with these giant waves, you know, out on the ocean in Australia. So Craig really, you know, shows the determination and sort of the mentality of a bull rider seen in the sport that he was doing. And then you mentioned Jerome and Tiffany. I mean, the reason I started out the book with Jerome and Tiffany, I really feel like they're the heart and soul of the book in terms of, you know, when you look at their situation, Jerome hurt severely, you know, he's paralyzed. They're in the hospital. The doctor, Tiffany is standing next to Jerome's mom, and the doctor's not even looking at her, kind of dismisses her. Oh, she'll leave him. She'll be one of the ones who doesn't stay with him. And here they are, two plus decades later, raising bulls. Now Jerome's about to coach the Carolina Cowboys in the team series. But why I put that chapter first is not only their love story and how they really represent, I think, the heart of the values of PBR, but the love and the care of the bulls. Wanted to immediately disabuse any notion that the bulls are mistreated. And nobody does it better than Tiffany on these tours in talking about how she loves those bulls and how Jerome and her treat the bulls. So started out with that and went from there.
Yeah, I mean there's so much stuff you get in there. I mean you don't leave out you don't forget Tandy. Tandy's in there. You go to the bullfighters in there. So I mean it goes from everything involved in PBR. Even if you're not, I mean you got some dollar PBR fans, you got some rodeo fans, but even if you're not a PBR fan watching PBR all the time, the book is still got a lot of inspirational stuff in it.
That's my hope for this, in that, people come to PBR and a lot of them, they'll check it out, but they don't think it's for them. It's a dirt sport. It's a sport with animals. It's really not for me, but I'll check it out. They check it out, and almost always our research shows they either like it or love it. A lot of people come, check it out, become fans, and then we've got them. That's my hope for the book, that we can kind of get people in the tent, that we can expose them to bull riding, that we could tell some great stories, educate them, inspire them, and also raise some money for the bull riders, because my proceeds and PBR proceeds are going to the Western Sports Foundation to pay the medical bills of injured bull riders. So
okay, all right. And so you're here this week, or for the next 2 weeks. PBR's in town, so what's going to happen? What can we expect?
Oh man, at our opening press conference this morning, Sean Gleason, our commissioner and CEO, had talked about how this is the first time in PBR history that after the regular season ended, the number 2 bull rider is now number 1. Dalen Swearingen came in, picked up points at the Velocity Tour, and leapfrogged Joao. So he's now in the number 1 position. So arguably, we have the closest championship race of all time. You got, Pacheco on fire, was like 53rd in the world not too long ago, and now he's moved up. Jose Vitor Leme coming off, 2 of the greatest seasons in history. He's battled some groin injuries this year, but don't count him out. There's enough points available. We're like the top 10. Anybody in the top 10, and Eli Vastbinder catches fire, he could win. It's going to be a really great event the next 2 weekends.
And I guess you got some other stuff going on too. You got ABBI stuff going on. You got the MBR, the miniature bull rider stuff going on.
Sure.
So
we, one of the reasons Vegas, great place to have our finals, and there was such a great run there. What Fort Worth offers is, with Cowtown and Will Rogers, we can create programming that really is going to provide fans with not only the things like concerts and expos, but you got the Bill Pickett Rodeo at Cowtown. You've got the WCRA, the mini bull riders, as you mentioned. There's just so much for fans to see and enjoy over the next 2 weeks that we're really excited about it. It's incredible what the PBR team has done with our partners and the city of Fort Worth and Stockyards Development to bring this all together, and can't wait to start bucking bulls Friday night.
It's going to be a good time. So when this book is yet to be released, but what do you have in mind as far as where they're going to find it?
Well, actually, this is the first interview I've done for Love and Try, so I'm a little rusty with plugging where it's going to be. So thank you. I should have led with that. But PBRshop.com. Actually, tomorrow, Friday the 13th, is when we'll start taking pre-orders on PBRshop.com, and then it should be available at Amazon. Don't have yet the list of bookstores, but certainly Amazon and PBRshop.com. And as I said, hopefully fans enjoy the stories. It's got 90 plus color photos, and the proceeds are going to go help bull riders with the Western Sports Foundation. So hope fans can support it.
Okay. And then I guess if they're on Twitter, they can look it up too, right?
That's right. We're on Love and Try on Twitter. Thank you for that plug as well.
It's there. Look it up. Twitter's a fun place. There's a lot of stuff happening on Twitter. You can get on there and stir up a lot of trouble on Twitter Spaces, or you can just have a good time. But it's all. So Andrew, Matt, we appreciate you coming in. We know you're a busy guy. PBR stuff's happening, but we'll let the folks know about that. And man, we wish you good luck this week. And
appreciate the support, the coverage, and thanks for everything you guys do for the sport and Western sports in general. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.